In our ongoing quest to define the essence of a good man, society often presents a simplistic portrait, one who is gentle, kind, and above all, harmless. This ideal seems noble at first glance, but let us pause to ask, does a man who avoids all conflicts and harm, no matter the cost, truly embody goodness? Or is he merely evading the responsibility that comes with making difficult, often uncomfortable, moral choices? This widely accepted belief equates harmlessness with moral righteousness. It suggests that the absence of the capacity to inflict pain or suffering upon others automatically signifies virtue. Yet, when we delve deeper, this seemingly straightforward correlation begins to unravel. It exposes a profound and provocative paradox. Is true goodness a passive avoidance of harm? Or does it require active engagement with the potential for harm to uphold justice, protect the vulnerable, and confront evil? To truly understand this concept, we must first recognize a fundamental truth about human nature. The capacity for harm is not an aberration. It is a universal trait, woven intricately into the fabric of who we are. Every one of us holds within a latent power capable of destruction. The question then becomes not whether we possess this capacity, but whether we have the moral fortitude to control it, direct it, and, when necessary, wield it in service of what is right. This discussion challenges the foundations of our moral understanding. It asks us to reconsider whether being harmless is a virtue at all, or whether true virtue lies in harnessing our strength, our potential for harm, for the greater good. As we explore this thought-provoking topic further, I invite you to reflect deeply on these ideas. Subscribe to Power Within Awakening to join us on this journey of self-discovery and moral clarity. If this resonates with you, comment 999 below to declare your readiness to awaken your inner strength. And don't forget to share this video with friends who need to hear this message. Stay with me until the end. It might just transform the way you perceive goodness forever. The first reason why a harmless man cannot truly be considered a good man lies in the pervasive misinterpretation of harmlessness as a virtue. This misunderstanding represents a critical oversight in our collective moral compass. Harmlessness is often lauded as an inherent good, a trait to be admired and celebrated. Yet this superficial appraisal fails to delve into its deeper implications. It overlooks the profound realities of human character and the transformative growth that comes from engaging with our capacity for harm. The truth is that the absence of the ability, or even the desire, to inflict pain does not inherently confer moral superiority or depth of character. Instead, it may signal an unwillingness or inability to engage with the complex realities of human nature. The unexamined elevation of harmlessness as a moral ideal risks reducing it to a passive state of inaction rather than an active engagement with virtue. Consider the example of Arjuna, the warrior prince of the Mahabharata, standing on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Faced with the prospect of fighting against his own relatives, revered teachers, and lifelong comrades, Arjuna is paralyzed by his aversion to causing pain and death. His reluctance in that moment is not born of cowardice, but of a deeply ingrained sense of harmlessness. Yet, as the narrative unfolds, it becomes clear that this harmlessness is not virtuous in itself. It is, in fact, a limitation. Through his dialogue with Krishna, Arjuna comes to understand a profound truth. His duty as a warrior extends beyond his personal discomfort and aversion to conflict. His responsibility lies in upholding righteousness, even when doing so requires engaging in battle. Krishna teaches Arjuna that his hesitation to act is not a sign of moral strength, but rather a misunderstanding of what it means to pursue the greater good. True virtue, Krishna reveals, does not lie in avoiding action to prevent harm, but in acting with wisdom and purpose, even when the path is fraught with difficulty. This story underscores an essential principle. Genuine goodness is not defined by the absence of the potential to cause harm, but by the conscious choice to refrain from harmful actions when they serve no higher purpose. This distinction is vital. It shifts the focus from passive harmlessness to the active process of moral decision-making, a process that demands courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to confront one's darker instincts. Indeed, it is in acknowledging and managing our latent capacity for harm that we find the opportunity for profound moral growth. Those who face these inner challenges with honesty and determination cultivate a form of goodness that is not only resilient but also deeply informed. This is a goodness that emerges from understanding the full breadth of human potential for both harm and healing, and choosing to wield that potential in service of what is just and righteous. Far from being a static trait, true virtue is dynamic. It is forged in the crucible of self-awareness, tempered by the trials of moral conflict, and illuminated by the deliberate pursuit of what is right. It is this active engagement with our moral potential, not the mere absence of harm, that defines the essence of a truly good man. The second reason why harmlessness does not equate to goodness lies in the vulnerabilities it engenders, particularly when it stems from an incapacity for cruelty. This form of harmlessness does not place individuals in a state of virtuous tranquility, as might be assumed, but rather in a condition of profound vulnerability and incompleteness. This vulnerability is far-reaching, extending beyond physical weakness into the psychological and emotional realms, creating a fragility that undermines an individual's ability to stand firm in the face of life's inevitable adversities. When harmlessness arises from an inability to enact harm, rather than a deliberate choice to refrain from it, individuals are left unequipped to handle confrontations or defend themselves and others. This disadvantage is not confined to moments of physical danger, but permeates broader aspects of life, such as relationships, professional settings, and social dynamics, where the capacity to assert oneself and demonstrate inner strength is often essential. Consider a personal relationship in which boundaries are routinely ignored or disrespected. If you find yourself unable to confront the situation, unable to express discontent, assert your needs, or demand fairness, this incapacity for confrontation creates an unhealthy imbalance. Over time, such a relationship becomes one-sided, with your feelings and desires continually sidelined. The dynamic shifts toward dependency, where your emotional well-being becomes reliant on the goodwill of the other person. This dependency not only breeds emotional distress, but also fosters a profound sense of incompleteness, as you lack the agency to stand as an equal partner in the relationship. Initially, this state of being, devoid of cruelty or harmful intent, might seem virtuous. However, upon closer examination, it becomes clear that such harmlessness significantly limits personal growth and character development. The fullness of one's humanity is not cultivated through avoidance of conflict but through engagement with it. Trials, adversities, and the courage to confront and navigate life's darker aspects are essential for honing the completeness of an individual's character. When an individual lacks the capacity to confront or defend effectively, they often become reliant on others who possess that strength. This dependence perpetuates a cycle of vulnerability and powerlessness, eroding one's sense of agency and autonomy. Over time, this can lead to an unbalanced existence, where one feels incomplete, not because they are inherently flawed, but because they have not embraced the opportunity to engage with their latent potential for strength and resolve. The essence of human relationships, respect, trust, and mutual support, is deeply nuanced. These dynamics require a delicate balance between gentleness and the strength to stand firm when necessary. Individuals who are harmless by incapacity rather than choice often struggle to command respect or be seen as reliable and resilient pillars in times of crisis. Their inability to confront challenges undermines their presence as trustworthy partners or leaders. This form of harmlessness, therefore, becomes a limitation rather than a virtue. It acts as a barrier to achieving a robust, resilient, and fully realized selfhood. True completeness as a person emerges not from the denial of one's capacity for darkness, but from an active engagement with it. By acknowledging and understanding these aspects of ourselves, we unlock the potential for transformation. This potential is not to be unleashed recklessly, but to be controlled, transcended, and ultimately wielded in service of a greater good. It is through this integration of our darker capacities with our higher aspirations that we forge a selfhood marked by both strength and wisdom. A self capable, tall in the face of life's trials while remaining guided by principles of justice and compassion, while in the face stand in passion. The third reason explores the profound connection between acknowledging one's darker capacities and cultivating both self-respect and the respect of others. At the heart of this argument lies a critical truth. True self-respect is not solely derived from recognizing one's virtues or accomplishments, but from confronting and mastering the shadows within. These shadows, the capacity for harm, selfishness, or other darker impulses, are not to be glorified or acted upon. Instead, their acknowledgement serves as a foundation for profound personal growth and conscious choice, elevating one's moral character. Without engaging with this deeper aspect of the self, an individual's sense of self-respect remains superficial, rooted in an incomplete understanding of their full potential. Ignoring the shadow side of human nature creates a one-dimensional self-concept that, while comforting, lacks the depth and resilience that comes from grappling with the full spectrum of human capacity, for both good and harm. Moreover, this lack of engagement with one's inner complexities doesn't just affect how individuals see themselves. It significantly influences how they are perceived by others. Respect from others is often built upon a recognition of inner strength, resilience, and moral integrity. These qualities arise not from a life free of challenges, but from the courage and determination to face and overcome them. When someone demonstrates that they have acknowledged and mastered their darker tendencies, they command a deeper, more authentic form of respect. This respect is grounded in the acknowledgement of their character's complexity, a testament to their journey towards self-mastery, and the deliberate choice of virtue over vice. Consider a scenario in a professional setting where significant challenges arise, such as tight deadlines and mounting team pressure. In this situation, a leader might notice unresolved conflicts among team members. It may be tempting to avoid confrontation, hoping that the issues will resolve themselves. Such avoidance might appear as harmlessness or even kindness, but in reality, it reflects a reluctance to engage with a critical aspect of leadership: conflict resolution. By sidestepping these challenges, a leader not only avoids addressing the root causes of team discord, but also misses the opportunity for personal growth. The fear of upsetting others or being disliked often drives such avoidance, yet this reluctance undermines both self-respect and the respect of others. On the other hand, when a leader confronts the situation directly, facilitating open communication, addressing underlying issues, and working toward a resolution, they demonstrate resilience, integrity, and commitment to the well-being of the team and the success of the project. This approach requires confronting personal discomfort and navigating through internal fears, but the rewards are profound. Not only does the leader boost their own self-respect by managing internal challenges, but they also earn the deeper respect of their team. A willingness to tackle difficult situations head-on showcases strength, moral fortitude, and an unwavering commitment to collective success. Conversely, a failure to engage with these darker aspects, such as fear, discomfort, or the potential for conflict, can lead to perceptions of naivety or weakness. These perceptions can undermine an individual's credibility and the respect they command in both social and professional contexts. Respect, whether self-respect or that of others, is not granted lightly. It is earned through demonstrating a nuanced and balanced approach to one's inner world. The journey toward earning the deep respect of others is much like the path to true self-respect. Both require navigating the treacherous waters of the psyche, confronting fears, doubts, and darker impulses, and emerging with a profound understanding of oneself. This understanding leads to a deliberate commitment to goodness, not as an avoidance of darkness, but as a conscious transcendence of it. True respect arises when others see not just an idealized version of a person but the full, unvarnished truth of their struggles, their growth, and their unwavering dedication to living with integrity. It is in this duality, the acknowledgement of both light and shadow, that the most resilient, complete, and admirable selfhood is forged. The fourth reason why a harmless man is not necessarily a good man lies in the transformative concept of shadow integration, a profound psychological process crucial for achieving personal wholeness. Shadow integration requires individuals to confront and engage with the aspects of themselves they often deny, suppress, or fear: their capacity for darkness, unacknowledged desires, and repressed emotions. It is a journey into the depths of the psyche, one that demands courage, honesty, and a willingness to embrace the totality of one's being. Carl Jung, one of the most influential figures in psychology, illuminated the necessity of this process. He emphasized that true self-awareness and personal growth come not from avoiding or repressing our darker impulses, but from confronting them. For Jung, the shadow is not inherently evil or destructive. It is simply the unexamined and unloved parts of ourselves. By integrating these shadow elements into our conscious awareness, we transform them into sources of insight, strength, and balance. This process of shadow integration is not an invitation to indulge in harmful behaviors or let destructive impulses take control. On the contrary, it is a deliberate and disciplined act of acknowledgement. The goal is not to unleash the shadow but to understand it, harness it, and ultimately transcend it. Without this integration, individuals remain fragmented, disconnected from their full potential. They may find themselves driven by unconscious fears or desires, unable to act with authenticity and self-possession. Consider, for example, someone who avoids conflict at all costs because they fear their own anger. They might believe that this avoidance makes them virtuous or peaceful, but in reality, it leaves them vulnerable to manipulation, incapable of setting boundaries, and out of touch with their own needs. Their avoidance does not erase the anger, it merely suppresses it, creating inner tension that often manifests in unhealthy ways. Shadow integration, on the other hand, involves facing that anger, understanding its origins, and learning how to express it constructively. This not only strengthens the individual, but also enriches their relationships, as they can now engage with others from a place of authenticity and self-awareness. The necessity of shadow integration cannot be overstated. Without it, we operate with only partial awareness of who we truly are. This limited understanding constrains our ability to navigate life effectively and authentically. We become like a ship with an unseen anchor, constantly pulled back by forces we do not recognize or understand. By bringing the shadow into the light of consciousness, we free ourselves from the grip of these hidden forces, enabling us to move through life with greater clarity and purpose. Moreover, the act of engaging with our shadow fosters profound personal transformation. It allows us to access a fuller range of emotional and psychological strengths, enriching every aspect of our lives. This process deepens our self-understanding, enabling us to see ourselves as complex, multifaceted beings rather than one-dimensional personas. It also cultivates greater compassion for others, as we come to recognize that everyone carries their own struggles with the shadow. This shared humanity fosters a deeper sense of connection and empathy, breaking down the barriers of judgment and misunderstanding. Ultimately, shadow integration lays the foundation for a more authentic, resilient, and compassionate existence. It transforms our relationship with the parts of ourselves we have been taught to fear or despise, turning these once threatening aspects into sources of insight and strength. For instance, a suppressed fear of failure, when acknowledged and understood, can become a motivator for growth and perseverance. Similarly, An unrecognized capacity for aggression can be channeled into assertiveness, enabling one to stand up for themselves and others without causing harm. The journey toward shadow integration is undeniably challenging. It requires us to face uncomfortable truths about ourselves and take responsibility for aspects of our behavior we might prefer to ignore. Yet this process is essential for anyone seeking a complete and balanced life. It is through this integration that decisions can be made from a place of full awareness and profound self-acceptance. By embracing the entirety of who we are, light and shadow alike, we unlock our true potential and create a foundation for genuine inner peace and moral integrity. The fifth reason delves into the concept of controlled strength as a vital virtue. A nuanced understanding that mastering one's capacity for harm imbues an individual with a strength that is both potent and restrained. This idea challenges the conventional perception of strength as raw physical power or the ability to dominate others. Instead, it redefines strength as a deliberate exercise of moral discernment and ethical restraint, elevating it to a higher plane of human capability. True controlled strength is neither innate nor accidental. It is the culmination of a rigorous journey of self-awareness and ethical commitment, requiring individuals to confront their inner shadows and engage in profound self-reflection. This process is far from easy, demanding the courage to acknowledge one's potential for harm and the discipline to temper it with wisdom. In mastering this potential, individuals transform their capacity for destruction into a force that safeguards peace and justice, rather than undermines them. At its core, controlled strength is a dual virtue. It embodies both power and restraint. This duality is what makes it so compelling and rare. The strength to act decisively is paired with the wisdom to choose when not to act. It is the capability to wield power tempered by the moral conviction to avoid unnecessary harm. Such strength is not impulsive or reactive, but deliberate and intentional, arising from a deep well of inner fortitude. The cultivation of controlled strength is a continuous process, honed through consistent practice and reflection. It is not achieved overnight, but is built over time as individuals confront and master their darker impulses. For example, consider a leader managing a crisis in which emotions run high and tensions threaten to boil over. A reactive leader might lash out, using their authority to dominate and suppress dissent. However, a leader who embodies controlled strength would approach the situation differently. They would remain calm, carefully assess the dynamics at play, and address the concerns with firmness and fairness. This approach not only resolves the immediate conflict, but also fosters trust and respect, showcasing a balance of power and restraint. Controlled strength also enhances the capacity for genuine goodness. It allows individuals to act from a foundation of compassion and understanding rather than from fear, aggression, or ego. This form of strength rejects the notion that restraint signals weakness. On the contrary, choosing not to harm when one has the power to do so is a profound demonstration of moral integrity and depth of character. It is an act that transcends self-interest, reflecting a commitment to higher ethical principles. In interpersonal relationships, controlled strength manifests as the ability to set boundaries without resorting to hostility, to defend oneself without malice, and to lead without coercion. It is the quiet confidence of someone who knows their own power yet wields it sparingly and responsibly. Such individuals command respect not through intimidation, but through their unwavering steadiness and moral clarity. In broader societal contexts, this virtue serves as the bedrock of effective leadership and conflict resolution. Leaders who embody controlled strength inspire trust and loyalty, as their actions consistently reflect fairness and restraint. They are capable of making tough decisions without succumbing to aggression or fear, maintaining a focus on long-term well-being rather than short-term dominance. Controlled strength is not only about external actions, but also about internal resilience. It equips individuals to withstand provocation without losing their composure, to protect without causing unnecessary harm, and to respond to challenges with grace and determination. It is a hallmark of those who have transcended their primal instincts, embracing a higher, more refined form of humanity. Ultimately, controlled strength is a virtue that bridges the gap between power and morality. It represents the zenith of human capability, the ability to possess great strength and yet choose gentleness, to hold the capacity for harm and yet act with compassion. In a world often defined by conflict and division, this virtue serves as a beacon of hope, demonstrating that true strength lies not in domination, but in the disciplined pursuit of justice, peace, and goodness. The sixth reason highlights the profound importance for those who are deemed chosen individuals, those entrusted with leadership roles or significant responsibilities, to confront and embrace their capacity for harm. This embrace is not an endorsement of recklessness or cruelty, but an acknowledgement of the complex and often challenging demands of true leadership. The capacity to wield force, whether literal or metaphorical, must be understood, mastered, and judiciously applied to lead effectively and protect the greater good. Leadership is far more than the ability to inspire through vision or rhetoric. It is the ability to act decisively and responsibly in moments of crisis. Often, this requires making difficult and, at times, uncomfortable decisions. A leader must navigate a fine line between compassion and firmness, idealism and pragmatism. The recognition and mastery of their capacity for harm empower leaders with the strength to enforce boundaries, maintain order, and ensure the safety and well-being of those they serve. This mastery is essential because leadership frequently involves navigating morally gray areas. Leaders are faced with decisions where every option has significant consequences, and the luxury of inaction is not viable. Consider historical leaders who had to make challenging calls during wartime, public health crises, or periods of social unrest. Their capacity to act, sometimes forcefully and unyieldingly, was pivotal in safeguarding the interests of the majority. This does not mean such leaders sought conflict or harm, but rather, they recognized that effective leadership demands the ability to confront difficult truths and act accordingly. The embrace of one's capacity for harm is, paradoxically, an act of humility and responsibility. It requires an individual to confront their own darker impulses, not to indulge them, but to control and direct them with wisdom. This is the difference between a tyrant who abuses power for personal gain and a leader who uses their strength to serve a higher purpose. The latter recognizes that the potential for harm, if left unchecked or unexamined, can corrupt, but if mastered, it becomes a source of profound strength and resolve. A leader who integrates this understanding gains a powerful edge in navigating the dynamics of power and influence. Such leaders command respect not only from their followers, but also from their adversaries. This respect is not born of fear, but of a realistic acknowledgement of the leader's strength, tempered by their restraint and commitment to principles. Followers trust such leaders because they know their actions are not driven by impulse or selfish ambition, but by a deep sense of responsibility and moral clarity. For example, consider a leader managing a community during a period of upheaval. If the leader shies away from making tough decisions, whether enforcing rules, confronting opposition, or addressing harmful behaviors within the group, they risk losing the trust and respect of their people. On the other hand, a leader who can stand firm, make difficult calls, and address challenges head-on, even at personal cost, reinforces their legitimacy and inspires confidence. Their ability to balance strength with compassion, firmness with understanding, becomes a guiding force for those they lead. This balance also extends to their interactions with adversaries. A leader who has mastered their capacity for harm projects an aura of quiet authority. They do not seek conflict, but are prepared to meet it if necessary. This readiness often deters challenges before they arise, as opponents recognize the leader's resolve and capability. Such a leader operates from a place of measured confidence, avoiding unnecessary escalation while maintaining the ability to act decisively if the situation demands it. For chosen individuals, acknowledging their capacity for harm is not a descent into darkness, but a step toward wholeness and wisdom. It is an acknowledgement of the realities of governance and protection. A recognition that leadership is not merely about ideals, but about navigating the complexities of human nature and societal dynamics. By embracing their potential for harm and channeling it with restraint and purpose, leaders position themselves as guardians of peace and justice, ready to confront challenges for the greater good. Ultimately, this integration fosters a leadership style that is deeply human yet profoundly effective. It bridges the gap between strength and empathy, demonstrating that true leadership lies in the ability to wield power without succumbing to its temptations. This mastery transforms the potential for harm into a force for good, enabling leaders to protect, guide, and inspire with unwavering integrity. The final reason delves into the profound ripple effects of striving for true goodness, transcending the shallow simplicity of harmlessness. This journey into true goodness is not merely a personal endeavor, but a transformative force that reshapes both society and personal relationships. True goodness, unlike harmlessness, demands courage, depth, and the deliberate choice to engage with one's capacity for harm. It requires confronting the shadows within and forging them into tools of wisdom and virtue. On a societal level, the pursuit of goodness cultivates a community rooted in resilience, trust, and ethical clarity. Individuals who choose this path contribute to a collective ethos where character, integrity, and the well-being of others take precedence over the convenience of avoiding conflict. This commitment creates an environment where mutual respect flourishes. Challenges are met with wisdom, and a shared purpose binds people together. It is within such a community that real progress emerges. A society fortified against adversity and capable of thriving amid the complexities of modern life. The transition from a culture of mere harmlessness to one of active goodness signals a significant societal evolution. Harmlessness may avoid conflict, but it often stagnates growth. True goodness, however, embraces the ethical challenges of living together, transforming them into opportunities for understanding, progress, and cohesion. This shift changes the narrative from one of passive coexistence to one of intentional and principled living. Such a society is equipped to confront injustices, foster inclusion, and empower individuals to realize their full potential. It is not just a society that survives, it is one that thrives, guided by wisdom, strength, and compassion. On a personal level, the journey toward true goodness deepens and enriches relationships. It encourages authenticity and openness, allowing individuals to connect with one another on a foundation of mutual understanding and respect for their shared complexities. By acknowledging and mastering their own shadows, individuals create a space for vulnerability, a crucible where relationships grow stronger and more resilient. This vulnerability fosters trust, transforming superficial connections into profound bonds that can withstand adversity and time. Furthermore, those who choose goodness over harmlessness naturally inspire others. Their example becomes a beacon, lighting the way for those around them to rise above fear, self-doubt, and moral complacency. This ripple effect elevates the ethical standards of communities, creating a momentum that fuels collective transformation. The pursuit of true goodness becomes a shared journey, a communal endeavor that uplifts all who dare to walk its path. But this journey is not without its challenges. True goodness is not the absence of harm, it is the conscious mastery of it. Harmlessness, when stripped of its superficial appeal, reveals itself as a state of incompleteness, a passive void longing to be filled. The pursuit of goodness, on the other hand, is an active process. It is a labyrinth where shadows and light intermingle, and where self-discovery requires the courage to face one's darkest truths. It is in these depths that the crucible of transformation resides, tempering raw impulses into the strength of restraint, and the wisdom of deliberate action. Leaders and the chosen ones who embrace this journey emerge as figures of profound influence. They do not wield the sword of domination, but carry the ethereal blade of moral integrity. Their path, fraught with challenges and revelations, transforms them into beacons of hope and strength for those around them. By integrating their shadows into the fabric of their being, they gain a depth of character that inspires trust, commands respect, and guides their communities toward shared prosperity. This journey, however, is not a straightforward one. It is an enigmatic, ever-shifting labyrinth where clarity is often found not in the brilliance of light, but in the interplay of shadow and revelation. The quest for true goodness is as much about the process as it is about the destination. A journey of mystery, self-awareness, and the eternal quest to uncover the enigma of our shared humanity. As we stand on the precipice of this journey, we are reminded of the profound impact it holds. Striving for goodness over harmlessness is not just a personal choice. It is a commitment to a life of purpose, a contribution to a stronger community, and a legacy that echoes through time. It is the transformative power of this choice that defines the essence of our humanity and lights the way forward. If this message resonates with you, take a step toward your own transformation today. Embrace your power and strive for true goodness. Subscribe to Power Within Awakening. Like this video and share it with your friends. Together we can inspire a movement of growth, resilience, and purpose that transforms not just ourselves but the world around us.